Welcome to Vsb News Online for Friday, March 13th. I'm Megan Sutcliffe. The Premier's pay will be frozen at $207,000 a year. Ministers will get $156,000 and members of Parliament $56,000 and senators $30,000 in the proposed pay scale that Mr. Dunkley tabled in Parliament this morning. Yes, it's the same as last year, but the Premier was asked if any thought had been given to reducing the amounts.
Already took the cut 10% 2 years ago that was put in. There was no consideration at raising salaries. We understand very clearly the challenges that everyone faces, and I think that these levels, while some might not be comfortable with them, that's understandable, but we have to lead by example. And members of the legislature, by and large, work very hard, and so they should be compensated in some way.
So we get our money's worth.
I think so. Just look at the budget debate over the past 2 weeks. We haven't been out of the House before probably 10:15, 10:30 at night. You know, a couple of sessions well after midnight. So we put in a lot of time, and the time you put in the House is not the only time you put in. There's a lot of preparation, committee work, constituency work. So a member of Parliament salary is certainly, I think, not exorbitant in any way for the effort that people put in.
A comparison with your salary and the salary of the CEO of the Bermuda Tourism Authority has been mentioned in Parliament, but you can't take that too seriously, can you?
No, I don't. Look, you know, you don't get in politics to earn money. You get in politics to serve. If you want to earn money, get into a business, get a career started. There's a debate all over the world about salaries for politicians. You've got to find the balance of what is appropriate for the positions that they serve. So when I heard that comparison, I just laughed. And I think one thing that a lot of members of the public really don't consider, as members of Parliament, you get invited to a lot of different events. And quite often those events come with a fee. And members of Parliament pay those fees out of their own pocket. So it all adds up. But it's all about service. It's not about the money you make, it's about service.
The future of the Grand Atlantic property as a condo hotel development called Bermuda Beach Resort looked much brighter today with the news that the chosen developer, McClellan and Associates, have submitted a draft memorandum of understanding following the granting of planning approval for unit conversion and landscaping design. Government says that it is now in a position to carry out its own due diligence in order to sustain that all required conditions have been met. Developer McLennan said his company would begin pre-sales for the proposed whole ownership condominium hotel product and resort conversion works as soon as the transaction was complete. Everyone in Bermuda has a part to play in pulling the island out of the economic doldrums, and the banks are no exception. So said Premier Michael Dunkley when asked by Vsb News' Brian Darby why his cabinet had arranged a meeting with senior banking officials.
I am not exactly sure who asked for the meeting. It was a couple of weeks ago, but the meeting was built around the fact that as a community, we all need to be involved in moving us forward. And the banks play an important part in what happens in a community. The banks have money which can be loaned out, and generally we wanted to sit down with the banks one-on-one and talk about what we're trying to do to the economy, understand some of the challenges, issues that they had, and see how we can get them to work to support the initiatives that were taking place in here. And so when I said last session that we didn't go cap in hand, as was said by the opposition, I said quite bluntly that with the Minister of Finance sitting next to me in the meeting, it was more like stick. Now, obviously, you know, the Minister of Finance is not going to beat people up all the time, but we were very clear that the banks have a great opportunity to help us work through some of these challenges, and I think they appreciate and realize that. And we wanted to get them to understand what we have on our agenda with the hotel investment and things like that, and see how we can work together. Brian, it's very clear that any investment in Bermuda, if it's done by somebody who from outside of Bermuda and they want to come here and invest a significant amount of money, they want to know that Bermuda is behind that investment. And that's important, not only for the government to be behind it, the community behind it, but it adds an extra spice if the banks are behind it, if we all have some skin in the game of what we're doing here. And what we were just trying to do is build closer relationships with the banks. I spend a lot of time outside the bubble. The bubble is the cabinet office. I try to get outside the bubble as much as I can because I want to meet with people. I want to understand what's on people's mind. I want to work with people. I want to continue to develop strong communications. And this is just another reach out, which I try to do all the time.
There are two ways to look at government budget cuts, either as unavoidable or indefensible. Shadow Minister of Community and Cultural Affairs Michael Weeks favors the latter.
It really hurts into that struggling family, that Mr. and Mrs. Bermuda, who are looking to government as their last resource. And this is why I'm so concerned, because everywhere else that used to help or can help are really drying up because of the current state of our affairs as far as the economy is going. So what we need to do now is to understand that things like financial assistance, family services, residential care, even youth and sport are all departments that need to be looked at before we decide to cut. Research around the world shows that sport plays a major part in not only athletic development but social development and community development, and it goes a long way in addressing antisocial behavior like crime and violence and the like. So we need to put money on the front end before we be able to put more money on the back end.
So cutting money sometimes actually aggravates the problem.
Well, it aggravates the problem because sometimes we end up in our quest to cut money. We think we're streamlining and refocusing, but a lot of these programs, these social programs, are already stretched. So they're already operating on a skeleton budget. So when we're looking to cut and streamline, what we are actually doing is making things worse rather than better.
Do you find Bermudians are rather spoiled that we've got these wonderful services and we want to keep hold of them even in the worst of times?
Well, I don't know if it's spoiled because governments around the world, man, one of the responsibilities of government is to help those who can't help themselves. You know, and there's sometimes we can look at programs and services and see where we can do better, but doing better doesn't always mean cutting funds.
But Minister Patricia Gordon Pamplin prefers the other view, that cuts are regrettable but unavoidable.
I think that it's very easy to pull a number out and sensationalize it, stand on a soapbox and, create angst in the community. What I think the opposition fails to realize is that throwing a lot of money at a problem does not necessarily equate to getting better results out. What is important is to look at the money that you have available. You expend that money in an efficient way so that the results are accountable and that we get benefit for what it is that we're spending. And that's the challenge. Some of the cuts that were made of necessity in terms of cutting out staffing that was previously funded, but the positions were unfilled. Now we're taking that funding out. So that's going to create cuts. The only place where he might have, in my estimation, where he might have legitimate concern is in the area of the psycho-ed, which has suffered a just over $400,000 reduction in the budget. But what's happening there is that we are putting a different program in place in which our young people will still have the ability to have counseling services. They will be done in a more efficient way, and it's going to save on some of the professional fees that are being paid. We are not cold or callous to the extent that we're going to just go and take money out of the budget and say, throw caution to the wind and let the chips fall where they may. That's not how we operate. What we do is to look at what money is available, how can we spend it efficiently and get results. The Mirrors program, as an example, they are using some of the alumni from the program to come as volunteers. What better way to be able to utilize the benefits that we've created, we've invested in our young people to put them through the Mirrors program, and now they are coming to give back on a volunteer basis. So that's cutting back on the necessity for the government to spend that kind of money.
And we'll be back with more news right after this.
The Marketplace Food Court is you and your family's one-stop shop. Start your day at the Breakfast Bar with omelets made to order and traditional Bermuda codfish breakfast. The chefs will cook lunch and dinner to your liking, along with the Salad Bar, Sandwich Bar, sushi bar, and fruit bar, the Marketplace Food Court is your kitchen away from home. Every day is hassle-free with nutritious meals from the Marketplace Food Court. Visit us 7 days a week. Homemade cooking, quality service, all at prices you can count on.
Shadow Finance Minister David Burt has moved a motion in Parliament which, if passed, would require the proposal to redevelop the L.F. Wade International Airport to go through an open bidding process. But here is how he put it.
I give notice that at the next day of meeting, I propose to move the following motion. Be it resolved that this Honorable House does not support the sole sourcing of a developer and concessionaire for the proposed new terminal at the L.F. Wade International Airport, and further, we recommend the project be subject to a public RFP process.
Any objections to that? Matter will be placed on the order paper.
Leading generals from Britain and the United States were asked in Bermuda this past week to inspect the Bermuda Regiment and ultimately give it their seal of approval. Vsb News' Brian Darby has the details.
Bermuda Regiment CO Lieutenant Colonel Michael Foster Brown said the visit from senior military figures from Bermuda's closest allies heralded a new era of cooperation between the three countries, as well as an increased opportunity for regiment soldiers to train overseas. Major General Edward Smythe Osborne, who commands the British Army's London District and the Household Division, tasked with protecting the royal family, explained that the regiment would liaise directly with his command on areas of joint concern, the first time a formal relationship with a divisional command in the UK has been set up. He said the visit is to cement the relationship between the British Army and the Bermuda Regiment, reinforcing the ties it already has with the Royal Anglians, and to look further for opportunities for mutual benefit. First and foremost, he said, we will provide one point of contact for the Bermuda Regiment and for the Governor, so there will be clarity and continuity. Secondly, we will look for opportunities for relatively small numbers of people to develop their soldiering skills alongside the British Armed Forces. Brian Darby reporting for VSB News.
The Bermuda Golf Classic is hoping to give a boost to tourism in Bermuda. Earl Baisden has more in this report.
The event that will see the Coalition for the Protection of Children and the Bermuda Gymnastics Association benefit is hoping to attract both current and former National Football League players to the island as a bid to bring more awareness to Bermuda for visitors. Brady Whittingham explains just how this event came about.
I came out and watched the Grand Slam this year, and knowing that this was the last Grand Slam that we were going to have on the island for a while, we talked and we said, what is it about the Grand Slam that is important to you, Clarence, important to the economy here, and really it's all about people seeing that golf here in Bermuda is something special, and until you've seen it, I don't think you can even describe it. So as I've told friends about Bermuda and Bermuda golf, I know that what we have here is special. We just need to get them onto the golf course. So as we talked, we thought, well, what are the other audiences are there that we could bring to the island? And I have a family background in professional football. My dad was a football coach, football player. My brother coaches football at the University of Utah. And so we know a few athletes. So we just started talking about maybe we could bring an NFL event to the island, and as we got together, the three of us, and talked about all the different ideas, we decided that yes, we're going to do it.
Billy Joe Tolliver is hoping that this can help kickstart Bermuda tourism.
I would love to get the Shield, the NFL Shield, involved here. Of course, it'll take some time. You know, we're neophytes in this deal, getting it started out. You've got to start somewhere. But like Brady and I were talking about earlier, the world has grown smaller. It's easier to get places, the competition you're dealing with in the islands and everything. We've got to get the word out about Bermuda again. Like I said, it's my first trip down here, and it won't be my last. This place is fantastic. The people here are wonderful. We've got to get more people involved to come see it, grow tourism here on the island. You know, you've got so many people, as you guys are well aware of. You live here, and you know, you work here, you raise your families here. Tourism's a very important cog in the wheel in people being able to raise their families and making the money that comes in. And hopefully we can make this thing grow. We expect it every year to get bigger. I'm invested in this thing. I love it here. So you know, I'll do whatever it takes.
I'm Earl Baisden reporting for VSB News.
And now the latest from the sports desk.
In their second game of three-game series in Guyana, Bermuda's basketball team have fallen to 2-0 following their 66-55 loss last evening. Bermuda was led by Jason Lowe, who poured in 21 points. Sullivan Phillips added 14 points, and Dean Jones scored 11 points. The Bermuda School Sports Federation held the senior school track and field preliminary meet at the National Sports Center yesterday. The top three qualifiers in the under-16 girls 800 meters were Messiah Greaves, representing Bermuda High, clocking a time of 2:38.49. Ali Bolin, also from Bermuda High, finished second in a time of 2:39.34, and Samir Lowe Darrell from Cedar Bridge was third in a time of 2:42.54. In the boys over 16 3,000 meter race, Daniel Oakley from Salters Grammar finished first with a time of 10:38.59. Najee Anderson from Cedar Bridge Academy finished second with a time of 11:50.98, and Andy Perez from Cedar Bridge finished third with a time of 12:05.09. Meanwhile, in the under-16 boys 3,000 meter race, Caden Hopkins from Salters Grammar finished first in a time of 11:03.95. Matthew Oliveira from Warwick Academy finished second in a time of 11:16.04, and Robert Edwards from the Barclay Institute finished third in a time of 11:27.87. In the boys javelin throw under 16, Sean Tucker from Warwick Academy finished first with a toss of 41.20 meters. Elijah Darrow from the Barclay Institute finished second with a toss of 34.50 meters. And Samson Douglas from Salters Grammar finished third with a toss of 34.12 meters. In the boys high jump under 16, Elijah Darrow from the Barclay Institute finished first with a leap of 1.85 meters. Ty Williams from Cedar Bridge Academy finished second with a leap of 1.75 meters, and Sean Tucker from Warwick Academy finished third with a leap of 1.65 meters. In the boys shot put over 16, Quinn Simmons from Cedar Bridge Academy finished first with a toss of 12.67 meters. Ajari Smith from Cedar Bridge Academy finished second with a toss of 11.99 meters, and Philip Hagan from Salters Grammar finished third with a toss of 11.34 meters. Today's senior school finals get underway at 4 p.m. at the National Sports Center. Mitchell Campbell and his Skidmore College men's golf teammates shot an opening round 302 and set in fourth place after the first round of the Liberty League qualifier being played at the Ravenwood Golf Club. The top four teams after the final round advanced to the Liberty League Championship tournament that will be hosted in April. The host and defending Liberty League champions Rochester are in first place after a round of 295. They are 2 strokes ahead of Rensselaer. NYU is in third with 301. Bermuda's Flora Duffy was among the current world champions, former world champions, Olympic medalists, and national champions who lined up for the 2015 Armex Songo Info Championship race in South Africa. The race, now in its fourth year, has made changes as the first 2 years of the race was only for professional men. They race on mountain bikes, but however, since it's been changed with women joining in. World champion Anika Levitt won the race, with Duffy finishing outside the top 5 female finishers. Denver signed an interesting punter prospect on Thursday. Carl Schmitz, who grew up in Bermuda and graduated from the University of Missouri, St. Louis in 2011, has signed with the Broncos, the team announced. The 2015 will be his rookie season if he is, in fact, handed the job of the team's kicker. Courthouse hosted Day 3 of the Apex Physio Squash Team Challenge and the Pro Exhibition event last evening at their Hamilton location. Tall, Small, and Stubby defeated SAS 5-4. The Court Jesters defeated Courthouse 7-2. Three Buys defeated Full Metal Rats 6-3, while the BPS Blue defeated Them Guys 7-2. Waterloo defeated Hiscox 7-2, while the Bermuda Triangle defeated Sit Down Marino 5-4, and N-Star got by Superstars 5-4. In the Pro Exhibition match, Patrick Foster defeated Nick Kime 3-1. Foster won the first 2 games 11-9, 11-8. Kime won the third game 11-7 before Foster closed out the match, winning the fourth game 11-7. After watching Kay Taplin and Tyler Lopes compete over the last few weeks, Jillian Teixeira finally got into the ring to compete in the Velaroma Atlantic Tour 2015 international horse jumping event in Portugal. Competing in the 1.45-meter Table A against the clock with a jump-off class, Teixeira and Tamarino finished 57th, clocking a time of 81.22, and they had 8 penalty fault points. In the latest round of the Smash Table Tennis Commercial League, it took place inside the Smash Table Tennis facility last evening. The Itsy Bitsy Smashers defeated the Dynamite 5-4, while the Smash and Dash defeated Security Associates 5-love. TBA defeated the Smooth Bowl Strokers 5-0, and the Bowl Breakers defeated Happy Valley Dental 5-3. I'm Earl Basden reporting for VSB Sports.
Looking at the weather for Saturday, March 14th, there will be sunny periods. Winds will be east-northeasterly moderate, decreasing east-southeasterly light to moderate in the afternoon, increasing southerly moderate to strong late night. We're expecting a high near 66 degrees and a low near 59. This weather forecast is courtesy of the Bermuda Weather Service. Thanks for watching VSB News Online for Friday, March 13th. I'm Megan Sutcliffe.